Hello and welcome back, people. You're listening to the Introverted Nerd Watches. I am your host, Reese, back for another episode of Saved by the Bell. And this week I watched season 4, episode 7, Check Your Mate. And it is obviously a chess reference because this is the chess episode where Bayside is the only school in the history of America that has a huge chess fandom. It's ridiculous. But before we get into it, all the craziness that is Saved by the Bell, because we love it so much, you should subscribe to the podcast. It's available on Apple Podcasts, or you can do like me and I have an Android now because I'm about that Android life. And I have like 3 or 4 apps that I listen to podcasts on. I have I listen sometimes on Stitcher, on Google Play sometimes, on Castbox, and I forget the name of the other one. But the point is that the podcast is available everywhere. So subscribe in all those places. Leave me a 5-star review. I'll read it on the episode. Thank you to the Black Guy Who Tips for coming up with that. And follow me on social media because I'm all over it. I'm on Twitter at NerdTrovertPod. On Instagram at TheIntrovertedNerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd. Now let's get into this Saved by the Bell because it's a Screech heavy episode. You know how much that hurts my heart. I mean, Screech hasn't been like heavy in the episodes lately, or maybe he has, and I've just been ignoring him because he hasn't been a big part of like a plot shit. He's been like side-ish. So I can ignore like the stupid Screech stuff that I really just hate, and like it hurts me. I shrivel up when Screech comes on screen. I'm like I was about to say I'm a shrinking violet, but that would be because Violet was in this episode, which I guess is a good thing. You know, pre-boob cavern Tory spelling is always nice. Violet and her silly laugh. So, like I said before, Bayside they're pretending that chess is like a really big deal. And I know it's a big deal to some people. I'm not trying to insult the chess people. I am not a chess player. I don't know shit about chess. Well, I mean, I know basic stuff, but I don't care about chess really. Like, I used to listen to Howard Stern and he used to be like heavy into chess, and he would talk about it all the time. It was so goddamn boring. I just really didn't care. And I really care less about this, especially since it's like Screech. So, the Bayside radio station is back, and Zach and Jesse are doing play-by-play for Screech's chess tournament. Well, it's not Screech's chess tournament. It's the Bayside chess tournament, I guess. I didn't care. It doesn't really matter. It's like the Bayside, it's a chess tournament, and Screech is really good. And it's like, okay, this is some crazy shit. So not only are Jesse and Zach doing play-by-play, you have Slater and a whole bunch of other students there to like cheer Screech on, and you have Lisa and Kelly doing cheers, like real real life cheerleaders coming to a goddamn chess tournament doing cheers, and they can't be really loud, so they're like whispering their cheers. It's ridiculous. So Screech is really good. he wins, and Violet is there, and she's like his lucky love, and he has a lucky beret that he got from Violet. So things are going good for him. And so Zach sees Screech's popularity, and he's like, I gotta exploit this shit. Like, Screech is popular, this chess thing is going down. I'm Zach Morris. I gotta exploit my friend. So he starts selling Screech t-shirts all over the place, and kids are eating this shit up. Like, what? Like, really, dude? Who wants Screech on the front of their like, most of these people that are buying Screech t-shirts would never talk to Screech in real life. They don't want shit to do with him on the show. They would ignore the shit out of him. So why are they wearing Screech t-shirts? I don't know. It's just, I mean, Zach made it happen. It's the Zach magic. He just made that shit happen. So they're at the Max, and these two guys from Valley named Vinny and Guy stroll in. And these are like two like 40-year-old men who are playing like rejects from Tony Soprano's Mafia days. And what are these two guys doing in California? Like, first of all, they have like these like New York or New Jersey accents, and they're like greasers or something. I have no idea what these guys are. They're old men, and they go to Valley. Like, Valley is the home of like really old people that are still in high school. That's the only thing I've seen so far. These two guys, Vinny and Guy, I can't get over the names. Vinny and Guy. Vinny and Guy. So Vinny and Guy come in, and Zach and Slater take a second from selling the t-shirts to talk to them, because they've come to make the wager on the chess finals. Like, really, dude? And so Zach and Slater are like, yeah, we'll make that bet, because they bet on everything. Like, any big like school tournament or sports event thingy, they're looking to make bets on it. They have gambling problems is what I'm trying to say. Zach, Slater, all these grown men from Valley, they all have gambling problems. Somebody needs to help them. So they're like, Zach and Slater are like, yeah, fuck that. Screech is like the best. He has a lucky beret. We bet $100. And then Screech comes up, and Screech is like, no, fuck that. Make it $300, because I'm the baddest bitch around. And then they're like, Vinny and Guy are like, you sure you want to do that? Because we got the best, I was about to call him a tennis player. It could be tennis, but we got the best chess player in California. It's this dude from Russia. And this is when the xenophobia starts. I forget this guy's name, but they call him a Ruski. They literally refer to this guy as a Ruski right to his face. Like, that's not a thing, right? You're not supposed to do that, right? You're not supposed to do that, right? You can't just refer to a Russian guy as a Ruski right to his face. That's an insult, right? So he walks in, and it's an old man. Well, I keep calling him an old man, but he's clearly not a teenager. And he has on this terrible curly wig that looks like a wig. It's a very wiggy wig. I don't understand. And the only reason the wiggy wig exists is so that when later in the episode, when Zach impersonates him, that he could put on this wig and nobody will recognize, because it's such a wiggy wig. So he when Screech triples the bet, and I said that already, right? So the Ruski and the Vinny and Guy, they leave, and Zach and Slater, when Screech talked to the guy and he gets like scared because he's like, this guy is like a serious chess player. He knows his shit. He's better than me. He's Russian. So that is, that's automatically better. And Zach and Slater try to, puff Screech up. And after they do that, like Screech is all like about it. And then the next day in school, this woman named Allison, she says her name's Allison. She's from Chess Boy magazine. And Zach is the first person that meets her. And she's like, she's a blonde chick. Zach is into her, but Zach is kind of into any like skinny white girl. I don't, she's not ugly, but she's not like special. Like I wouldn't look twice at this girl. Seriously. Like Zach has questionable taste. Like aside from Kelly, I think mostly Zach has questionable taste. Okay. Hot take, but whatever. We've all seen his girlfriends, right? Like Kelly, and we haven't quite got to the Lisa thing yet, but Kelly is like the top of the pile, and the rest of these women are like, whatever. Like Zach is prettier than them. So, the girl from Chess Boy, or she's the girl Allison. Zach comes up to her and he's trying to like flirt with her, but she's like having none of it. So Zach can't believe that she's not interested in him and she's looking for Screech. So she sees Screech and Screech doesn't really understand that this woman is flirting with him. He, she's like touching him. She's like laughing at all of his lame jokes and he's not getting it. Violet is there and everybody else is looking at them. Like Zach is like in his head, like, I can't fucking believe that he's staring at them like in disbelief. Like, I can't believe that she's not interested in me. Everybody else is looking at them and your girl Kelly is like, Kelly is the one that's the most up in arms about Allison's flirting with Screech just throughout the episode. And I'm like, really, Kelly? Really? Girl, you cheated on your boyfriend like 3 episodes ago, broke up with him and started dating your boss. Like, how are you upset that Screech is flirting with somebody else? Like, girl, stop it. Take a seat, Kelly. We all remember what happened. You can't be at the front of the line for this one. You gotta hold back. Just hold yourself back, take a seat. This gotta be somebody else's cause because you can't be it. So they go to the Max and Screech and this girl named Allison, they make an appointment to meet at the Max. And Screech doesn't invite Violet. Violet is all like, she doesn't know what to do because it's supposed to be an interview that is happening with them. And what happens is everybody goes to class. They make the date. And Allison, it turns out she's a Valley spy. And the girl has like a worse version of the Brittany Murphy voice from Clueless. She has like this really high pitch. Okay, I had on the closed captions and it calls the accent a Valley girl accent, but it was this really like, it sounded almost New Yorky to me. That's why it sounded like Brittany Murphy. It was like this really high pitch, like Vinny and Goy. And I can't even do it. Like my voice is too deep to get up to like her high pitch. She's goys, and that's how she said it, goy, like almost like goy. But she was like she's goy's girlfriend, and she's like she fooled Screech. He doesn't realize she's flirting, but he sort of likes it. And her plan is to break his heart and make it so that he won't want to compete in the chess final. Like, really? That's their great plan, is to make Screech, okay. I mean, these are not smart people, obviously. So they meet at the Max, and Screech is just giving up all the information. He's telling her about his lucky beret. He's telling her where he's going to hide his lucky beret. He could have just given her his social security number, the combination to his locker. Like, she was just getting all of his information. She was barely asking any questions. And this whole chess boy thing was so crazy because nobody else was saying, like, is chess boy even really a thing? Like, nobody else was like, how weird is it that, she asks him to be the chess boy centerfold. This is all like a play on the whole Playboy thing. There's a chess boy centerfold. There's a chess boy mansion, and there's like a pawn shaped pool. I'm like, oh my God, this is, and like, who is this for? Because the teenagers that were watching the show don't know shit about Playboy. Like, I mean, and Playboy is not even a thing anymore. Is it? Like, is the Playboy Mansion still a thing? They don't put out the the physical like Playboy magazine, but I don't know. This was back in the 90s, but even back in the 90s, like as a kid, I don't remember like making the connection to Playboy in this episode. So this whole chess boy thing would have went right over my head, and my mom was not watching the show with me. And no other adults are watching this show with me. So the whole Playboy thing it was just something put in to amuse the writers because it was ridiculous. So Violet shows up, and Allison is asking Screech if she can like try on his lucky beret, and Violet is like, no, Screech doesn't do that. And Screech is like, oh yeah, take this beret, put it on. And that's when Violet gets upset. She storms out. Everybody else is sitting over there watching watching what's going on. And they're like, let's go after Violet. Screech doesn't even realize that Allison is flirting with him. And Kelly is like really upset. She's like, I can't believe Screech is doing this. I can't believe they're flirting right in front of Violet. So everybody else, they go after Violet. Zach stays behind. He stops the girl from stealing Screech's beret. And then he stops to talk to Allison again. And this is the one thing that I liked about Allison, because she burns the shit out of Zach. So Zach tells her, I'm going to give you another chance. I'm free on Saturday. And she looks at him and she says, I know why. And she walks away from him. I was like, you know what, Allison, high five. She burned the shit out of Zach. She just walks out, and she was just really not interested. And I don't know why, because Guy was not a great looking guy. He was not a great looking guy. He was just, he had a ponytail. Ugh. That's not a good thing. Jon Snow is like one of the few guys that can pull off like the man bun thing. I should be in charge of that. I should be in charge of telling people whether they can pull off certain hairstyles. I just thought of that. Like, I see people's hair and it's like really busted, and I'm like, you shouldn't put your hair like that. You should do something else, and I should be the person in front of it. So if we ever get into like this post-apocalyptic, like Giver type, if you ever read the book The Giver, or seen that bad movie, but if we ever get into like a post-apocalyptic Giver type society, I'm going to be the person that picks the hairstyles. That's what I want my job to be. So Allison ends up stealing the beret anyway because Screech gave her all the goddamn information. And Violet goes she goes back to school. I don't know why does she even go to Bayside? I thought she went to a private school. I don't even remember. Like, Violet doesn't show up that much, and I don't know how often she's going to show up after this. I think their relationship ends pretty soon. I don't even think it ends on the show. I think Violet just stops showing up. I think Tori Spelling started doing Beverly Hills 90210 like during this, like around this time. So Violet is going to stop showing up pretty soon. So what happens is Violet is she's in the is she in the boys' locker room or the girls' locker room? Whatever. She's writing on the locker like death to Screech or something like that, or death to Samuel, or because she calls him Samuel. And she's really upset, and Kelly, Lisa, and Jesse end up convincing her to give Screech another chance, that he doesn't realize what's going on and that he's really interested in her. And she forgives him for a little while, but then Screech's beret gets stolen, and Zach and Slater realize it's been stolen, but they still want to profit off of the Screech mania that's happening in Bayside. So Screech is like really down. He doesn't know what to do after his beret is taken. He can't compete without his beret. So they get him a fake beret because they're going to start selling berets at this point. They moved on from the t-shirts. They're selling matching berets because everybody in school wants to buy a beret like Screech's. And what happens is Screech goes to tell Violet that he found his beret. His beret is back. And Violet takes it off his head, and she's like, no, this is some dusty old, like, pretender beret. This is not the expensive, nice beret that I bought you with all of my millions of dollars, Screech. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know, you let some other girl wear your beret. I'm done with you. And she breaks up with him. So Zach and Slater don't care. And they're just still being the worst. They try to trick Screech. It's not working. So the tournament comes up. It's the day of the tournament. Screech is still doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have his beret. He's crying. And so Zach and Slater decide that they're going to cheat. Like, this is their last ditch effort to cheat. Allison and Goy Goy sent a picture of the beret. They're holding the beret hostage, and it's just a whole thing. And so they decide to go beat up the Russian guy. What the fuck is this guy's name? I can't remember his name, and I can't talk about all the xenophobia that exists if I just keep calling him the Russian guy. What is his name? It doesn't even matter because he's probably not really Russian. I'm almost positive that he's not really a Russian guy. He's just some regular dude, some regular like California dude. So, they decide to trick this guy into like a photo shoot. They end up beating him up in a closet, in a janitor's closet. Zach steals his clothes and steals his wig and goes to the chess tournament pretending to be him. And it's like, and nobody recognizes Zach. Really, guys? Like, they've known each other their whole damn lives. I cannot believe that all it takes is putting on a wig, and just every time one of these people puts on a wig, it's like, we don't even recognize you. We have no idea who you are. Like, really? All you have to do is put on the wig, and people that have known you their entire lives, they just become blind. They don't realize who you are. So, and Screech has done it like two or three times, and his friends don't even recognize him. I mean, nobody really likes Screech, but the Zach part, I don't understand. Like, they don't recognize Zach. So Slater goes to broadcast with Jesse, and he tells Screech, like, he's screaming into the radio during this radio broadcast. He tells Screech to kick that commie's butt, like, to hype up the crowd. And I'm like, wait, what is this? Is this really what we're doing? Like, this This is like Saved by the Bell. Like, what is going on here? I mean, I understand Russia. We hate Russia. Like this is, it's really like, this is Saved by the Bell being timeless because Russia now. But really, who's calling? This is the kids show too. Like, I don't remember hearing a whole lot about commies in my kid shows. And maybe I was just a kid that was oblivious to this type of stuff. But I don't remember, like, aside from this episode of Saved by the Bell, I don't remember a whole lot of talk about commies. And Mr. Belding is there, and Mr. Belding doesn't say, "Hey, Slater, maybe we shouldn't disrespect our guests. This teenage boy, maybe you shouldn't call him a commie or a Ruski." But Mr. Belding is the worst, and Mr. Belding ends up referring to this dude as a Ruski. So whatever. And then the cheerleaders start cheering about "Beat That Russian." And I'm like, okay, this is not the Olympics where there's a whole bunch of country pride. This is a school tournament. Why are we talking about Ruskies and beating that Russian? Like, come on, you guys. Be better. I'm like, the whole time I'm watching this, like, really? Is this really what's going on? I could not believe it. I don't know why, because Saved by the Bell does some wild shit, but whatever. Beat that Ruski, beat that Russian. I was in my notes, I was like, xenophobic much? But Zach sits down, he's pretending to be the Russian across from Screech. And Screech can't play. It turns out Violet is there. They make up. She says, "I love you anyway. You don't need your lucky beret. I'm here. I'm lucky for you. My money brought the beret, so I'm lucky," and whatever. So Screech wants to compete now. And Zach starts making these wild moves on the chessboard. And he's jumping all over the place. And I'm like, are there any officials here? Does anybody tell you when you can, not make a move when there's an illegal move made? Or Screech, you're the chess player. Why aren't you saying anything? Zach is jumping all over the board like he's playing checkers. And Screech is just sitting there like, wow, it's so great. I'm like, no, dude, he can't make those moves. He can't do this shit. You say something, Screech. Like, even I know that. Like, even I know, like, with my, very minimal chess knowledge, even I know that you can't just move pieces all over the place. There are rules to chess. And Screech is just sitting there like a dumbass. And Zach ends up, he says, Screech doesn't even make a move, but Zach is like, nope. He's a really bad actor in this moment. Like, Zach, and not Mark Paul Gosselaar, but Zach acting like the Russian dude is being a really bad actor in this moment, because he says, he's like being really over the top. And it's like, if you're going to beat up some guy, put him in a closet and pretend to be him, you should know something about him. You should know, like, some of his mannerisms. Like, Zach never ever thinks out his plans. It's all just, I made this bet. I want this money in the end. So I'm just going to do the wildest thing I can to try to get to that point. And I'm going to lose almost every time. But I'm just going to keep on doing it that way because I'm too stupid to do something else. And Slater's a big dummy too, because he just follows behind him. Like, they really they never think out their plans. Like, Zach stays scheming and just zero thought behind it. Just nothing. Just the original idea is all Zach has. And beyond that, he doesn't know how to make anything else happen. So Zach forfeits the tournament. He says Screech is too good. And then Russian guy hops up on the stage. Mr. Belding, they have to confess to Mr. Belding about how, about the bet. and they have to call off the bet. And Allison Allison from New Jersey by way of the Valley in California dumps Guy, and she storms out. And Screech ends up winning the tournament because we have to do a fast forward through the whole like match play, and Screech wins. And because it was really important for us to see that Screech won the tournament. Yay. I don't know why they think we care about this stuff. Like we had to see Screech win the chess tournament. During that episode where Zach turns all of the girls' skin like purple, we had to see like a sped up version of the football game that happened. It's like who cares? They just needed a couple minutes like added onto the show. They couldn't end the episode like short, so they had to add that little bit of time, and they didn't know what to do except to fast forward through this chess match. But it is over. Yay. And Screech won because of course he was going to win, because this is not real. And the Russian guy got his pants back. They really beat up a guy, put him in a closet, and stole his clothes, and didn't get in any trouble. Like, they beat up a guy. They beat up this kid. Like, he's a foreign student. He doesn't know any of these people. They beat him up, stuff him in a closet, steal his clothes, and the only thing they had to do was call off the bet. Like, really? That's the punishment? The punishment is I made a bet. I beat up a kid. I held him hostage in a closet. And the only thing I have to do at the end of this is call off the bet. Oh, really, Mr. Belding? Mr. Belding is he's just so... Mr. Belding. I mean, almost every episode, I'm like, Mr. Belding is the worst. But I come back every other episode thinking, like, Mr. Belding should be better. And I want to give Mr. Belding a chance, but he's awful. So that is the end of the episode, you guys. On the next episode is going to be season 4, episode 9, Fake IDs. And... I think Fake IDs is going to be the last skip I'm going to do. So I'm going to do episode 9 next week, next Thursday. And then I'm going to go back to episode 2. I know this is confusing, and in order to like get around the way Saved by the Bell did things, I am making things confusing. But it's their fault. Blame the producers, the directors, whoever ran Saved by the Bell at that time. Don't blame me. Write all of your letters to them. So season 4, episode 9, Fake IDs is next week if you're watching along with me. And if you don't listen to my Fear the Walking Dead episodes, you should be listening to those. They come out every Tuesday. But Fear the Walking Dead is going on. They're skipping the Memorial Day week. So in place of an episode of Fear the Walking Dead, I am doing a primer for the Cloak and Dagger comic books, because I'm going to be reviewing the season of Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger starts on the 6th of June. So next Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a whole Cloak and Dagger thing about the Cloak and Dagger and the comic books. I'm just going to give the history of Cloak and Dagger, and see which part of their history they're going to be using in the TV show. So if you're interested in that, you should listen. If you have any questions, you should email me at TheIntrovertedNerd@gmail.com. You should follow me on the Twitters. You can follow me personally at the Ms. Introvert. You can follow the podcast at NerdTrovertPod and use the hashtag NerdyWatch so I can see, like, if you want to chat with me. On Instagram, I'm at TheIntrovertedNerd, and like the Facebook page at facebook.com/TheIntrovertedNerd. And that is it, you guys. Until next week, later.